Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great-Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Willard Waterman in an episode of The Great-Gildersleeve. This episode, entitled Diving for Publicity, has Gildy going down for the third time, although, this episode originally broadcast April 23rd, 1952.
The Kraft Foods Company presents Willard Waterman as the Great-Gildersleeve. Well, the breakfast dishes have been cleared away, and the great Gildersleeve and his little family are enjoying that quiet moment of relaxation before launching into a busy day.
Leroy, when are you going to finish with that section of the paper?
Just a minute, Unc. I'm reading the editorials.
You, Leroy?
It's an assignment in civics.
Oh, school.
Hey, get a load of this. The editor's telling how little people know about their public officials.
Oh?
It says, in a poll recently conducted, this newspaper was appalled to discover that 75% of the people could not name the mayor of Summerfield.
Well, Mayor Terwilliger is by no means the most popular of the city officials.
Who is?
Go on, my boy. Does it say anything in there about the water department?
I don't see anything yet.
Of course, they might not mention the water department. The editor's probably sharpshooting at the mayor and some of the more obscure officials. Too bad that none of the other city officials make as good an impression on the public as I do.
Oh, here's something about you, Unc, way down at the bottom.
At the bottom?
It says, only one person in 10 knew the name of the city water commissioner.
What?
This struck your reporter as most unusual until he realized he couldn't think of it either.
Why, that... He knows my name.
He certainly should, Unky. You've written enough letters to the editor.
Yes, I certainly... Well, Marjorie, come to think of it, I've always signed them irate reader. Stuff like that makes an editor think.
You got him thinking, all right. Listen to this. The fact that so few people know our public officials brings up an interesting question. Aren't our office holders big enough to command respect and attention?
Why, George, Leroy, give me that paper.
Gosh, it was just getting interesting.
That editor conducted a phony poll. Everybody knows Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve, the water commissioner.
I don't know, Unky.
What do you mean?
Well, at my bridge club last week, one of the girls asked me if the fellow who read water meters was my uncle.
Charlie Anderson does that.
I know, but she didn't.
Well, if I were you, I'd play bridge with brighter girls.
The kids in my grade know you, Unc.
Yeah, they do, Leroy?
Yeah, when you turn on the faucet and there's air in the pipes, you know the noise it makes?
So?
Well, when the kids hear that, they say, there's Leroy's uncle sounding off again.
Oh, my goodness.
Anybody want some more coffee?
No, thank you, Bertie.
Bertie, wouldn't you say most everybody in town knows me?
Yes, sir.
Now, in your own circle of friends, wouldn't you say everybody knows who I am?
Yes, sir. I was downtown with a girlfriend on my day off, and we saw you cross the street.
You did?
She knew who you were.
There, you see, kids.
She said, Bertie, there goes that man you work for.
Bertie, didn't you know I'm the water commissioner?
Mr. Gildersleeve, she wasn't nosy. She didn't ask what you did.
No.
She just asked how much you pay me.
By George, everybody in town's going to know what Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve does. I'll make that editor eat his words. I'll make him eat his whole newspaper.
Come on, Unc. I'll be late for school.
Wait a minute, Leroy. I might just step across the street and speak to that gentleman.
Gosh, you've already asked 3 people who you are, and they wouldn't even answer you.
The lady did.
Yeah? What did she say?
Very funny. Telling a grown man if he wants to know who he is to go to the police station.
Well, I gotta turn off here for school. See you later, Anonymous.
Leroy.
So long, Unc.
Goodbye. I can't believe so few people know I'm the water commissioner. Well, perhaps it's my fault. Maybe I'm too modest. Maybe I've been hiding my light under a bushel. Say, here comes the judge. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. I'm conducting a poll for the local newspaper.
What?
Do you know the name of the local water commissioner?
All right, Judge, so you read the morning paper. Can I help it if I'm self-effacing?
You, Gildy?
I go ahead year after year doing my job, and the newspaper editor jumps on me because I'm not a blowhard.
Well, he was very unkind. But after all, Gildy, this is the year when politicians catch old Billy.
Seriously, Judge, how can I attract everybody's attention?
Let me see. Well, you could go down to the city square and sit on the flagpole.
Yes. Judge, I've got to make my name synonymous with water.
Well, you might change your name to Throckmorton P. Watersleeve.
Judge, please.
And you could christen your new name by running and jumping in the reservoir.
Judge, I have a suggestion for you.
Oh?
You go jump in the reservoir.
I've only been joshing you, Gildy. I'm feeling my oats today.
Feeling your oats? You should be eating them, you old goat.
Well, I'm serious about you jumping in the reservoir.
Oh, you are?
For a long time, you've been wondering about the underground springs that feed the reservoir. You might go down and check the springs for obstructions. It'd make a great publicity story.
Yeah, great human interest. Water commissioner goes to bottom of reservoir. Judge, that's 40 feet deep.
Well, I know where there's a diver's suit for sale.
You do?
At the war surplus store.
Yeah, oh, forget it, Judge. I'm not going down in any diving suit.
Well, it's one way of making a splash.
The silliest way I ever heard of. There are plenty of dignified ways to get publicity. I wouldn't dream of making a spectacle of myself. By George, I didn't think I'd have to pay so much for a war surplus diving suit. But those underground springs should be checked in the interest of the people of Summerfield. Yeah, while they're putting the suit in the car, I think I'll call Uncle Charlie Anderson at the reservoir. Tell him my plan.
City Reservoir, Charlie Anderson speaking. Hello?
Hey, Charlie.
Hello?
Charlie! Stop saying hello so I can say hello.
Oh, somebody there?
Yes, your boss, Commissioner Gildersleeve.
Oh, you still with us, Bob?
Disrespectful employee.
After reading the newspaper, Commissioner, I thought maybe they put Leroy in charge. Put Leroy.
All right, Charlie.
Anything on your mind besides your hat?
Charlie, the water department has to get some publicity, and I need your help.
You need help from somebody, Bub.
Now, listen, Charlie. We're going to check the underground springs in the reservoir, and I've already bought the diving suit.
Diving suit?
Nothing to it, Charlie. I've got the air pump, so all we have to do...
Oh, no, you don't.
What?
You ain't going to put me into a rubber straitjacket and drop me into 40 feet of water?
Charlie, you misunderstand.
Well, don't you misunderstand me. If you want somebody to go down there and rub noses with those mud turtles, you better get yourself another boy.
Charlie, listen. I'm the one who's going down.
Not only... Huh? Oh, so we'll have to get ourselves another water commissioner.
Charlie. I think I'll stop in at Peavy's and show him my diving suit. Yeah, I might as well let people know what I'm up to. And the suit and the lead shoes are a little heavy, so I'll just take in the helmet. Say, why don't I wear the helmet? Sure, I'll surprise Peavy. It's pretty heavy. Yeah, there. Yeah, I can see him through this little window. But I doubt if he can see me. Yeah, Peavy won't even know who I am. Hello, Mr. Druggist.
Hello, Mr. Gildersleeve. What can I do for you today?
Oh, my goodness. Let me out of this thing. Peavy, could you tell it was me through the little window?
No, I could tell it was you by your big window.
All right, Peavy. I guess you're wondering what I'm doing with the diving helmet.
Well, after reading this morning's paper, you could be carrying a diving helmet to let people know you're the water commissioner.
No, Peavy.
What are you going to wear on your head tomorrow? A fire hydrant?
Peavy, I'm not just carrying this thing around to impress people.
You don't say.
Tomorrow, I'm going to put it on and jump in the reservoir.
My, what are you going to do that for?
To impress people. Yeah, I mean, that newspaper has been a little rough on me, claiming nobody knows me. So I'm diving to the bottom of the reservoir to inspect the underground springs.
That ought to get you some publicity.
Well, since it's such a spectacular public service, I thought it wouldn't do any harm to phone the paper and have the photographer out there.
Oh, my, no.
So they'll be covering it, Peavy. Why, George, after this stunt, everybody will recognize me.
Well, they will if you come up.
Peavy, there's nothing dangerous about it when you're wearing a diving suit like this.
Mr. Gildersleeve, where did you get the suit?
War surplus.
My.
It has U.S. Navy stamped right on it.
I wonder why the Navy didn't want it.
Well, the Navy's been changing the style of its uniforms. Peavy, you aren't suggesting that something could be wrong with the suit, are you?
Well, I'm a cautious man, just asking a question.
Well, nothing's going to happen. Besides, if they were insulting you with editorials, you'd do something about it, wouldn't you?
Well, yes.
And don't you agree this is a surefire way to get publicity?
Yes.
So if you were me, you'd go down into 40 feet of water, too.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Well, I'm going, landlubber.
The Great Gildersleeve will be back in just a minute.
April 23rd, 1952, The Great Gildersleeve on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of The Great Gildersleeve, April 23rd, 1952.
Well, a newspaper poll taken in Summerfield indicated that very few people know who the water commissioner is. So in high dudgeon, the Great Gildersleeve resolved to get himself some publicity. Right now, he's getting varied reactions from his little family.
Uncle Mort, are you really going to the bottom of the reservoir in that diving suit?
Well, Peavy didn't think so much of it either. It could be this isn't one of my best ideas.
I think it's keen. Gosh, I wish I could go down with you.
Well, that suit's big enough for both of you.
Are you going to try it on, Mr. Gildersleeve, or do you think it fits all right?
Go ahead, try it on, Unc.
Uncle Mort, I know you're going to be sorry if you go through with this. Why don't you call it off?
Why, what could happen?
Well, any number of things. Your lines could foul and cut off your air supply.
Well.
Or one of your lead feet could get stuck on the bottom.
Get stuck?
Great! We could get a derrick to hoist him. You'd get publicity all over the country.
No, Leroy,
Of course, it would take time to get a derrick. I can see the headlines. Water Commissioner on bottom for third day.
Leroy.
To get you out, we might even have to dynamite the reservoir.
Oh, Mr. Gildersleeve.
That does it. I'll phone the newspaper and call it off.
Unc.
Yes, Leroy?
You mean you're going to back out after telling the newspapers you were going to do it?
Why not?
Oh, brother. I'd hate to be in your shoes.
What do you mean?
Well, you and the editor don't get along. Think what he'll print if you back out now.
Well, he'll print if I back it. He'd tear me apart.
Yeah. He'll say you're a big coward.
Leroy.
I can see the paper now. Water Commissioner backs down, afraid to jump in his own reservoir.
Leroy, stop reading the headlines. I'm going to do it.
I've been thinking, Mr. Gildersleeve, a smart man like you might forget about them springs in a case like this.
You watch this, Bertie?
Why can't you go down a couple of feet and float there?
Well, that's an idea.
What a phony deal.
But, Uncle Mort, even if you just go under the surface, you can get in trouble if the suit doesn't work.
Hey, let's get the diving suit and test it for leaks.
Leaks? Well, how, Leroy?
You get in the suit and we dunk you in the bathtub.
Leroy, that's the first sensible suggestion you've come up with all day. Testing this diving suit in the bathtub is a good idea. Because if it leaks, I don't have to go into the reservoir. Well, here goes. Darn lead shoes. This is the first time I ever got in the bathtub not expecting to get wet. Yeah, that's one leg in. Now, if I can just get the other leg in. Whoop. I'm in. It's still dry. The legs don't seem to leak. Darn it. I think I'll slide down on my back and test the top part. Oh! If I'm not careful with these shoes, I'll kick out the end of the tub. Yeah. Well, no leaks fore and aft. Now I'll test the helmet. I'll need somebody to fasten it on. Leroy! Oh, Leroy!
He went out, Auntie.
Oh, that boy. Will you step here a minute, Marjorie?
Where are you?
In the bathtub, testing the suit.
Well, why do you need me?
I want to stick my head underwater.
Well, go ahead and stick it underwater.
Marjorie, the helmet has to be on me first. Give me a hand.
Oh. This thing's heavy.
You're over my head. Easy now. Yeah, there we are. Now, help me fasten the clamps.
All right. There, you're clamped.
Now, close the little window, Marjorie. Wait until I take my cigar out of my mouth.
Sorry, Auntie.
I mustn't forget that out at the reservoir. Fogs up in here in a hurry. What's all that noise downstairs?
Keep in mind.
It's Leroy.
Keep moving up the stairs. Single file.
He's bringing in a bunch of kids.
What is this?
All right, get your nickels ready and fall past the door. Only one look to a customer.
What?
Only 5 cents to see the man from Mars sitting in a bathtub.
Leroy!
Well, Unc, you got a nice day for your stunt.
What's good about it, Leroy?
At least it isn't raining.
My boy, when you're going underwater, you don't worry about it raining. Well, might as well walk out on the pier. These lead boots get heavier and heavier. Hope they don't carry me through this pier before I can get my helmet on.
Yeah, you'd sink like a sack of cement.
Leroy, let's not be gruesome.
You're not worried, are you?
Well, yes. It's natural to worry when you do something like this for the first time.
Oh, well, it'll probably be your last.
Leroy.
I mean, you won't want to dive again, will you?
Positively not. Where is that Charlie Anderson?
I don't know, but he better show up soon. That photographer up on the dam is getting impatient.
Well, they'll just have to hold the presses. I can't go down without somebody on the air pump.
Hey, here comes Mr. Peavy.
Oh? I wondered if any of my friends were coming down to see me off.
There's quite a few people up on the dam, Unc.
Great. Hello, Peavy.
Hello, Mr. Gildersleeve. Leroy.
Hi.
Glad to see you down here, Peavy.
I thought you'd appreciate it. I've only closed the store on 2 occasions.
Yeah, that's so?
One was the balloon ascension, and now a balloon descension.
You're all right, Peavy. I'm not in the mood for jests.
Unc's a little nervous about going down, Mr. Peavy.
Well, if he'd pump some helium into that suit, he can go the other way.
Yes.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Here he is. Hi, Uncle Charlie.
Hello, Leroy. All ashore that's going ashore.
Charlie, where have you been?
Commissioner, I had to go get a sedative pill. I'm a little nervous about you going down there.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. You might come back up.
Funny mechanic. Charlie, let's get this helmet on.
Yeah, in a jiffy. Oh, hello, Miss Peavy.
Hello, Charlie.
Commissioner, I see you have a doctor in attendance.
You're all right, Charlie. Clamp on the helmet.
Okay.
Charlie, you got it on backwards. The window should be in front.
Well, you're so scared I thought you might not want to see where you're going. I'll turn her around.
Charlie, watch it. I have ears in here.
Well, you're lucky they're not out here. There. Helmet's clamped on.
Hey, Unc, hold up your hand and wave. They want to take your picture.
Where's the photographer? Oh, yes. Goodbye, people.
All right, Commissioner, get ready to jump.
Wait a minute, Charlie. You turn on the pump first.
Oh, yeah, the pump. Details.
Fairly important.
You haven't checked the lines, Charlie.
I did that this morning before you was up. Contact! Say, here's something funny. Motor seems to have a knock.
That's Unc's knees.
Oh, is that all? I thought we might have a little excitement when you get him down below.
Charlie, I'm not going all the way down.
Who says you're not?
Unc just must have gone down a couple of feet.
It's just for publicity, Charlie.
I thought you were going down to inspect the springs.
Well, now that I'm out here, that doesn't seem so important.
April 23rd, 1952, The Great Gildersleeve on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Mike Lindell and MyPillow launching the MyPillow 2.0. Now, when Mike invented MyPillow, it had everything you could want in a pillow. Now, nearly 20 years later, he's discovered a new technology that makes MyPillow even better. Of course, the patented adjustable fill of the original MyPillow, but now with brand new fabric with a temperature-regulating thread, it's the softest, smoothest, and coolest pillow you'll ever own. Say goodbye to tossing and turning and flipping your pillow over in the middle of the night. And more great news on the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer with my promo code Wyatt. MyPillow 2.0 is 100% made in the USA, 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio podcast square to receive the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer. Use my promo code Wyatt or call 1-800-928-4715. This is Wyatt Cox. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater. Now the conclusion of The Great Gildersleeve, Diving for Publicity, April 23rd, 1952.
Now, Charlie, if you'll just lower me a couple of feet underwater.
Commissioner, I want no part of subterfuge. If you think I'm going to help you flim-flam the public, you can get yourself another boy.
What, Charlie?
So I'm going to close your window and push you off.
Charlie! No, Charlie!
There she blows!
I'm sinking like a rock. Charlie, pull me up. Charlie, answer me through the speaking tube.
Hello, long distance. Are you there, Commissioner?
Am I here? Charlie, pull me up.
Whoa, Nellie.
Hey, I've stopped sinking. Good old Charlie. He wouldn't let me down all the way. All right, pull me up now, Charlie.
Leroy, you want to talk to your uncle?
Hi, Unc.
Leroy, instruct Charlie to pull me up.
Oh, Mr. Peavy, say hello to the Commissioner.
Oh, my goodness, Charlie.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Peavy, get off the line.
I'm not standing on it.
Put Charlie back on.
Say, you see anything of those underground springs, Commissioner?
No, I don't, Charlie.
Then down you go.
Yep, Charlie, confound it. If I ever get up, I will get myself another boy. Fish, go away from my window.
Unky, tell us some more about it.
Well, Marjorie, the dam was lined with people. And I waved to the photographer and stepped boldly to the edge of the pier.
And Charlie Anderson pushed him in.
Well, Leroy, see if the paper's come yet.
Okay, I'll check the front yard.
Yeah, I can't wait to read my publicity.
Mr. Gildersleeve, you do beat all.
Do I, Bertie?
Not many men would go into 40 feet of water in a strange diving suit.
I thought you were only going down a couple of feet, Unky.
Well, some people would have tried to flim-flam the public that way. But I'll have no part of subterfuge. By George, when I go in the water, I go all the way.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I went to some trouble and expense, and I know I worried my little family. But there's one thing sure. When the newspaper hits the streets, everybody's going to know that Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve is the water commissioner.
Here's the paper, Unc.
Oh, great. Now, let's see it, my boy.
There's nothing about you on page 1.
Well, the front page is for politics.
Mr. Gildersleeve, ain't that why you jumped in?
Bertie. Yeah, let's see. Here it is. Here it is on page 2.
Oh, wonderful, Unky.
Is that you?
Sure, it's me, in the diving suit.
You just can't see him with a helmet on.
By George, when I go out for publicity, I get it. You read it to us, Leroy.
Sure. It says, unidentified fat diver cavorts in reservoir.
What?
Where was our city water commissioner when these shenanigans were pulled?
Where are those lead boots? I'm going down to see that editor. Sleeve again. We've been asked by the Red Cross to tell you how you can help the 26,000 families now homeless in the Midwestern flood area. Send your contribution to your local Red Cross chapter. To care for these families during this emergency will take a lot more money than your Red Cross received in its last campaign. So let's all do our share. Send whatever you can to your local Red Cross chapter. And before we leave you, I'd like to say how much my little family and I appreciated all those fine letters you wrote about our Easter program. It may take a little time, but I'm going to answer them all. And Bertie's going to help, aren't you, Bertie?
Yes, sir. They were such nice letters.
Yes, they certainly were. Don't forget the Red Cross. Good night, folks.
The Great Gildersleeve is played by Willard Waterman. The show is written by John Elliott and Andy White and is partially transcribed. Included in the cast are Walter Tetley, Mary Lee Robb, Lillian Randolph, Cliff Arquette, Earl Ross, and Dick LeGrand. Musical compositions by Jack Meakin. This is John Heaston saying goodnight for the Kraft Foods Company, makers of the famous line of Kraft quality food products. Be sure to listen in next Wednesday and every Wednesday for the further adventures of the Great Gildersleeve.
April 23rd, 1952, The Great Gildersleeve on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now I want to thank Ted at RadioMemories.com for supplying this week's episodes of Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar. We start off with this part one of the 5-part episodes, The Lonely Hearts Matter. This first episode, originally broadcast April 23rd, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for...
Johnny Dollar.
Dave Elwood, Johnny, Northwest Surety.
Oh, hiya, Dave. How's the family?
Oh, growing like weeds. You wouldn't even recognize
I
it.
guess not. It's been a long time.
Say, you free at the moment, Johnny?
Well, there's nothing going on here except the rent. What's on your mind?
I don't know exactly. Maybe smoke, maybe a fire. I got a girl here in
You
the office.
executives really live.
Well, she's pretty enough to... Say, why don't you come on over here and meet her?
Social, or do I get paid for it?
You get paid.
Uh-huh. J. Dollar, gigolo, personal attention to Lonely Hearts, special
Lonely
rates.
Hearts? Why'd you say that?
Say what?
Lonely Hearts.
I don't know. Why? Is it a code of some kind?
Well, you could call it that, I guess.
What's it mean?
Johnny, if this girl is telling the truth, it means murder.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. From Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to the Home Office, Northwest Surety Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the Lonely Hearts matter. Item 1, $1.60, taxi fare from my apartment to the Northwest Surety Building in the office of Dave Elwood, Executive Claims Adjuster. A hard-working little man with thinning hair who, even after 20 years in the game, still couldn't help making every claim a personal matter. He met me in the outer office and led me off to one side.
She's waiting inside there, Johnny. I wanted to brief you before you met her.
Who is she, Dave?
Her name is Norma Wells. She's from Chicago. She flew in from there this morning. Hasn't had any sleep, and she's pretty upset.
Mm-hmm. What about it?
Her father died 3 days ago, suddenly, unexpectedly.
What did he die of?
Acute enteritis, supposedly. Well, the death certificate hasn't been signed yet.
Is that what you meant by murder?
Well, his daughter thinks so.
Mm-hmm. Was he insured with you?
$50,000, term life, written 5 months ago.
Who's the beneficiary? This daughter?
No, his wife. His second wife, that is. The girl's mother died years ago. Wells remarried a month before the policy was issued. A woman named Mabel Burke. The insurance is payable to her.
And the Wells girl thinks she killed him.
That's what she says. She's pretty mixed up.
Why did she come here?
And I'm not quite sure, Johnny. Suppose you ask her.
Okay, let's go.
This way.
What about that Lonely Hearts crack you made on the phone?
Well, that's how he met this new wife, this Mabel Burke, through a Lonely Hearts Club. Like they say, marriage is a lottery.
In this case, it sounds more like Russian roulette.
Yeah. In here. Miss Wells, this is Johnny Dollar. He's a specialist, an expert in this kind of thing. I'm sure he'll be able to help you.
How do you do, Mr. Dollar?
Miss Wells?
Now, I'm going to leave you two alone. I have a couple of things I got to take care of. You just punch the intercom if you want me.
Right, Dave, thanks. Would you care for a cigarette, Miss Wells?
No, thank you. Yes, I will, too. Oh, please forgive me. I just can't seem to think straight.
Oh, that's perfectly understandable. Here you are.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Dollar.
Sure. Forgive me for being so blunt, but when was the last time you had something to eat?
Why, yesterday morning, I guess.
Uh-huh. Dave.
Yes, Johnny?
Suppose you could send out for a glass of orange juice, a hot roll, a pot of coffee?
Oh, sure. I'll have one of the girls go get it.
Good, thanks.
No, please. I really couldn't.
You're really going to, though. You're shaking so hard you can hardly hold on to that cigarette.
I know. It's so stupid of me.
You and your father were pretty close, I imagine.
Yes. Until he married her.
What kind of a woman is she?
Well, she's strange. It's hard to explain. She's sort of vague. Fuzzy around the edges, if that makes any sense. It's like she isn't even there sometimes, but away off somewhere in time or space.
A little batty? Is that what you're implying?
No, not really. She could be as sharp as a tack when she wanted to. But something about her, well, I was scared of her, Mr. Dollar. And I don't actually know why.
I see.
My father and I could never be alone. Somehow she always managed to be there, separating us, driving us apart.
Did she ever say anything that would lead you to believe that?
She didn't have to. Just being there was enough to... All right. I know what you're thinking. Father fixation, second wife, jealous daughter, neurotic imagination.
It's a possibility, isn't it?
No. Don't you suppose I thought of that? Made allowances for it? Do you think I'm a fool?
I don't know what to think, Miss Wells. You told Dave Elwood you believed your stepmother had murdered your father. And so far, the only reason you've given is the fact that she was around all the time. Maybe he wanted her around. Maybe that's why he married her.
Of course he wanted her around. That's not what made me suspicious.
Then what did? The fact that he took out life insurance, named her as beneficiary?
Not at the time. I wasn't suspicious at all, Mr. Dollar. Not until the night he died. Oh, I was hurt, yes, and I felt out of place, so... Well, I moved out of the house 3 months ago and took an apartment off the Loop. But I didn't have the slightest idea she might be planning to kill him.
Did he carry any insurance before they were married? Some protection for you in case of...
Oh, no, he didn't feel that it was necessary. He'd set up a trust fund, and there's some bonds and so on that I suppose will come to me.
I see.
No, the policy was entirely her idea. Thinking back, it seems to me she started talking about insurance the first week after they were married. And he finally gave in. If he hadn't, I think he'd still be alive.
Mm-hmm. Just what were the circumstances of his death?
I don't know. I wasn't there. She saw to that.
What do you mean?
Well, he was taken ill suddenly, in the middle of the night. He wanted her to call me, but she wouldn't do it.
Why not?
She claimed she didn't think it was anything serious, so there was no need of it. Instead, she called the doctor, her doctor. A few minutes after he arrived, my father died. Then they called me, after it was all over.
This doctor, is he the one who has refused so far to sign a death certificate?
Oh, he was going to sign it all right, until I got there and kicked up a scene. An obvious case of acute enteritis, he called it. Then he backed down, decided maybe he should have another opinion. I went to Father's doctor, but he said there was nothing he could do because he hadn't been called in at the time. He's the one who suggested I come here.
Why so?
He said the insurance company would help me. Since they were involved, too, they'd advise me what to do.
Well, what did he think about that diagnosis, acute enteritis?
He said it was possible, but extremely doubtful. He knew Father's physical condition. He'd treated him for years.
How long had your father known this Mabel Burke before they were married?
Less than a month. He'd answered a Lonely Hearts ad in the paper. So I found out later by accident.
I see.
Well, they both seemed embarrassed by the way they'd met.
Was it a private ad or an organization?
A club of some sort. The Rendezvous Club. They have an office on Atlantic Avenue. Mr. Dollar, it's not just imagination. Father's own doctor feels there's something wrong, too. That's why he sent me here. I'm not crazy.
Easy now, easy.
She killed him for his insurance. I know she did.
Maybe. But there's not much to go on. Not at the moment, anyway.
Think it's about time for a coffee break?
Yeah, I imagine it's a little pastime for Miss Wells.
I couldn't. Really.
Oh, yes, you could. Go ahead now, dig in. I'll be back in a few minutes. Have a word with you, Dave?
Right, Johnny. Well, what do you think?
I think it needs some looking into. How soon can you get Miss Wells and me on a plane for Chicago?
Hour and a half. I've already checked.
Good. I'll have her get a court order for an autopsy in case the coroner hasn't already asked for one, and we'll take it from there.
Then you think the girl is telling the truth?
I wouldn't bet on it. Expense account item 2, $96.40. Transportation from Hartford and taxi, tips and incidentals in Chicago. I dropped Norma Wells at her apartment, checked in at a hotel, and phoned the coroner's office. I learned that an autopsy request had been filed, but was being delayed pending a court order. I informed them that the daughter was available and willing now to cooperate with them. I left my name and asked the office to keep in touch with me. Item 3, $2.10. Taxi to the offices of the Rendezvous Club. Introductions arranged, mail forwarded, lonely hearts mended, and possibly murders planned.
Well, hello.
I must be in the wrong place.
What do you mean?
I can't see you as the lonely type.
Oh, I'm not. I'm not a client. I work here.
Really? For some reason, I'd always had the idea that these clubs were run by sweet old ladies of 75 or so.
Oh, well, I don't exactly run it. Or at least I don't own it, if that's what you mean. Hey, you're not a client, for gosh sake.
Any rules against it?
Well, no.
Well, how do I go about it? Becoming a client.
Well, you either write in or come in like you are now. Then you fill out a form, tell all about yourself, and attach a photograph, and... Look, Buster, there's no use trying to kid you.
Huh?
We don't have a woman in our files under 45 years old.
Well, maybe I got a mother complex.
What?
So I fill out a form. What do you do with it then?
We'll keep it on file. Then we send out bulletins to the active members and forward letters back and forth. Or you can come in here and be introduced. And... Look, are you serious?
Don't I act serious?
Well, I don't get it. A young guy with your looks and... I bet you're selling something.
No. As a matter of fact, I just got in town and I'm trying to locate a certain fellow. I was told he's a member of your club.
Oh, well, why didn't you say so? What's his name?
Jonathan Wells.
You probably got his address. Jonathan Wells?
Yeah. Have you got a file on him?
Who are you? You're with the police.
Police? Now, what gives you that idea?
Well, I don't know anything about the man you're looking for.
No? Well, suppose we check through the file.
It's not here. We don't keep the files here.
Where do you keep them?
They're not here.
Well, maybe they're in the next office. Through that door there.
No, you can't go in there.
Relax now. Take it easy.
You have no right in there. I won't let you. Oh, you stop
Now,
it.
you just stand right up there on that desk and stay out of trouble.
Let me down. Who do you think you are, anyhow? You get out of here. You go get a warrant if you want to.
Who was in here?
Nobody.
Do you smoke cigars?
Of course I don't smoke cigars.
Yeah, right there in the ashtray, still burning. Somebody just sneaked out through that door in the hall. Who was he? What's your name?
Tetler. Fanny Tetler.
How long have you worked here?
A year. Hey, I've got a hunch you're not a policeman.
I didn't say I was. What about Wells? Have you got a file on him?
No.
What happened to it?
I don't know what you're talking
How about Mabel Burke?
Mabel Burke?
Have you got a file on her?
Of course not.
What do you mean, of course not? She and Wells met through this club.
Look, Buster, Mabel Burke owns this club.
Now, here's our star to tell you about tomorrow's intriguing episode of this week's story.
Tomorrow, another day, another husband, another death, and a sweet little old lady rocks and smiles. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by Les Crutchfield, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Be sure to join us tomorrow night, same time and station, for the next exciting episode of Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
April 23rd, 1956, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Ted at RadioMemories.com supplied us this week's episodes of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, and I think you'll find it an interesting set of 5 shows. All righty, thank you for tuning in to and finding Ted at Radio Memories? He supplies shows on cassette, CD, or flash drive for your computer at a very reasonable price. Check out Ted at RadioMemories.com. RadioMemories.com. Thank this station, support their advertisers. Their kindness and courtesy allow us to be with you each and every time you roll around here on your favorite station. Miss a day, you don't have to miss a show. All of our shows are available at classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. Stream our shows. Learn about how to build a classic radio collection of your own. You can find lists of places where our shows are available via podcast. You can also find our social media links. And if you'd like to support us, you can buy me a coffee. The Buy Me a Coffee money helps us acquire additional classic radio collections and also helps us to maintain our distribution channels. That's at classicradio.stream. Have yourself a great day. Tell all your friends the greatest radio shows of all time are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.